Hello, my love, and welcome to another episode of the High Ticket Coach podcast. Your host here, Michelle Hext. Today, I want to remind you that the road to your success is not going to be found in settling. It is going to be found in creating standards and maintaining those standards. And what that looks like for you is going to be very, very personal, but it's important to figure it out. And so let's start with looking at what are the standards that you currently hold. And you have standards, make no mistake about that. You do have current standards. Are they high though? That's what we need to figure out. And so when we look at the things that we are willing to accept in our life and our business, which is what we're going to be talking about today, we need to get clear about where we're settling and where we are holding those standards. So let's look at a few different components that make up any coaching business. The standard of your clients. Is the standard met? Have you met the standard that you have set for your clients? Or have you started to accept clients that aren't the best fit, that are draining you, that are okay but not perfect? Check in with that, because our clients and the people that we work with, they can create such an energy within our business, either the most potent, incredible, magnetic energy going around, or it's a different energy. We all know what that feels like when we're working with clients that don't serve us, that drain us, that pull us out of our sweet spot and make us feel as though we're not as good as we are at what we do. And that can happen. That can happen when we choose the wrong clients. So think about who your ideal client is. Who are your diamond clients? And I want you to hold that standard against the clients that you're currently working with and ask yourself, is my standard being met? And if not, what needs to shift? Because you get to change this, right? And the longer we go off course, the longer we let our standards slide, the more, as I say, off course that we get. It can take us way off course, and it can cause big problems in our businesses. And the types of clients we work with is at the corner of it, because coaches have we hold a lot of value in delivering outstanding results, and we can only do that when we're working with the right clients. So that's the first thing. Are the clients that you're working with, are they meeting the standard you have set for the people that you want to work with? And if not, now is the time to start to make some changes. Next, I want you to think about the standard that you set around revenue generation. Are you settling for crumbs, or is the standard being met for what you expect to earn every single month? It's a simple question. Is the standard being met, or is it not being met? And if it's not being met, how have you handled that? Have you internalized? Have you made it mean something that it doesn't mean? Because I want to remind you that if you see somebody out there succeeding in your niche, if they are killing it and you can see they're making a lot of money, then that tells us something. That tells us that money can be made in your niche. And if you're not making it, we just have to figure out why that is, because there is always an answer. There's a solution to that problem. But we can't get it twisted. We can't make it mean something that it isn't. It could be that, some clarity needs to be found so that you can message more clearly, so that your marketing is more precise, so that you're speaking to the right people. Maybe there are some missing gaps in the offer that you have. There are a lot of reasons why your business might not be providing the revenue that you want it to generate right now, but all of them are fixable. These problems are all fixable. So let's not make it a mountain when it really is a molehill and you just need to get some help. So the second standard is revenue. Is the amount of money that you are generating meeting the standard that you have set for yourself? If not, what needs to change? And if you are struggling to get there on your own, if you're struggling to figure this out, then it's time to get some help. and I'm on the other side of my DMs on Insta if you want to pop in and have a chat. But you can't stay in this place, because the longer that you settle for crumbs, the longer that your expectations aren't met, the more you will grow accustomed to settling for less. And when you grow accustomed to settling for less, it's a miserable life. It's not where you want to be. So we want you to fulfill the potential that you saw for yourself. We want you to meet the standard that you set for yourself for revenue. And as I say, if that standard is not being met, then there is a simple problem that needs to be fixed. And there's a good chance that you can't fix that problem on your own, because if you could, you would have done it by now. All right. So first two are the standard of client. Next one is the standard of revenue. And then the next standard is your brand. How do you feel about your overall brand? When you look at your website, when you look at your social media, when you look at the words that encapture what you do and the potency of you, your essence, the things that make you you, how do you feel? What is the standard being met? Because if you're creating sales pages and you hate them, if you are sending out social media posts and you hate the graphics, if things aren't meeting the standard that you have set for how you want to show up online, again, that's going to cause problems. You're creating a push-pull. So what I mean by that is, if you want to do the work, right? You want to show up, you want to get out there and you want to start posting more on social media, but you don't like the way it looks, it doesn't represent you, then that's push-pull energy. So you're not going to go all in, because there's something there, there's friction. There is friction that is holding you back. And until you meet that standard, it's going to feel uncomfortable and it's going to keep you playing small. So bring your brand, bring everything into alignment so that it best reflects you, and it's something that you're truly proud of. Because when you're proud and excited to show the world your brand, it's a different energy. That is the standard. We want to make sure that the standard is high around the things that we create and send out into the world visually, our brand. And of course, that's not just how it looks, but it's the words that we use, the vibe, it's all of those things. Then I want you to think about the standard that you set for operating your business. I posted I dropped a comment in my Facebook group, which is called The Boardroom, and I've just reopened it again. And it was something along the lines of, if your clients could see the back end of your business, would they still call you an expert? And what I also mentioned in that post is that everything is energy, the things that are seen and unseen. And so if you're doing the duck, if you're on the pond and you're looking nice and calm, but underneath your legs are going 100 miles an hour because there's pure chaos behind the scenes, that is not sustainable. It's creating a funky energy, and it's also not the standard that you want to set, right? Don't you want your business to feel orderly, to feel organized, to feel calm? If it doesn't feel that way, then the standard is not being met, and it is going to have an impact. So all of the things that I'm speaking about today, they are all going to have a significant impact on your ability to make money, your ability to go out there and be successful as a coach. Because in your mind, if there's chaos going on in the background and you're putting up a front, then a couple of things are going to happen. One, you're going to have imposter syndrome, and that's hard to overcome when everything is in a mess. And secondly, more business, more action, more activity just means more chaos. And you're already just about only keeping your head above water, right? It's feeling overwhelmed. It's feeling chaotic. It's feeling all over the place. You don't have systems in place. Everything is, well, you're winging it essentially. And that is starting to catch up with you. That is not the standard. We have to have high standards around what our business looks like. It's just like if somebody were to knock on your door and walk into your home, how do you want to present that home? You want it to be clean, sparkling, orderly, organized. You want it to be welcoming. You don't want to have any shame. You don't want to be worried about somebody opening up a door or a closet door and having everything tumble out. That's not how we want to live our lives. And so it's the same kind of vibe around your business. Would you be uncomfortable or embarrassed if somebody lifted up the hood and saw underneath your business? If you would be embarrassed, if this would cause you shame, then it's time to get your shit together and get your systems in place. It's really important because this is impacting you. This is impacting your ability to make money. And so then we need to think about the standard that we hold for ourselves. What is the standard that you hold for yourself in terms of how you operate, how you show up as a leader online, how you present yourself online, how you manage your business? What are the standards that you have for yourself? And are you meeting them? Because if you're not, then this is important. You have to lead yourself before you can lead anybody else. You have to set the standards for yourself before you can set the standards for anything else. So I really want you to think about that today. I want you to think about the standards, and I've given you just a handful there. So I didn't write this down before I started. I've given you the standard around clients. I've given you the standard around revenue. I've given you the standard around how organized your business is. I've given you the standard around how you show up. And there are other standards. There are going to be plenty of standards when you think about it. And some are going to be more important to you than others. But I want you to think about what are 5 standards that you want to build your brand around and operate from. And make sure you set those standards high. Be really clear. What are my standards here? What are my standards here around the type of clients that I work with? What are my standards for how much revenue is acceptable for me? What is my standard for how I operate my business? What is my standard for how I am in my business, how I am as an entrepreneur? And the other thing is, branding was the other thing, and branding and messaging and the feel of your business. What is the standard there? And are you meeting that or not? If you're not meeting it, then it's time to do some work. Most of the time, the standards are not met because we aren't aware that we need to set them. We just settle. And that's really the topic of today. It's like you either have standards, you set standards and you maintain those standards, or you're settling. And success does not come through settling. The path to your success, to your ultimate success, is not going to be found in settling. It's going to be found in setting very clear, high standards and maintaining those standards. So over the last 6 months in my business, I've been building and building and building and building. And if you're not in the boardroom, I recommend that you go and join that Facebook group today, because I posted a behind the scenes. And I spoke about the way that I have been building my business over the last 6 months, and the standards are extremely high. I have been unprepared to create anything, to put anything out into the internet that has not met the standard. And I speak about what a $3 million business looks like behind the scenes, the structure of it, how I plan my offers, what capacity looks like, things like that. And so, I've been thinking a lot about standards. I thought a lot about standards last year, as the last 6 months of the year really forced me to stop and do a lot of internal searching and making a lot of changes and making some decisions that have really I've stood firm around and have served me very, very well. And the last 6 months have been putting things in place so that I can now take the handbrake off and really start to grow to the capacities that I know are available to me. But I'm not in a hurry. I'm not in a hurry to do that. That is another standard that I have. There is no rush. I'm not rushing anything. And so it's really, I think, worthwhile for you to go and have a look at that post. If you go to michellehex.com, you will see the boardroom on there. You'll be able to click through and you can go ahead and join that group. It's free. And it's a community that I'm creating for you to be able to go in there and learn from me from a CEO perspective, not just from another coach who's out there hustling. I'm building legacy. I'm building a leveraged high ticket empire. It is not about reinventing the wheel. This is what ease looks like. So if you are interested in what my elegant model looks like, then go and check that out. And I also want to give you a heads up that, S.H.E Mastermind is there for you. If you are a coach that is done with the struggle and you feel like you need a complete reboot and you want somebody to support you along the way and guide you over 12 months, then S.H.E Mastermind is there for you. But I also want to alert you to the fact that later this week, I'm going to be launching the Revenue Room. And the Revenue Room is shorter than the Mastermind. So my Mastermind is 12 months. The Revenue Room allows you to come into my world for a minimum of 3 months. We need 3 months to build out sales engines. And the focus of the Revenue Room is to build that leverage model, to put all of the systems in place to build out everything you need to leverage and scale without working any harder. So it's shorter, although you can stay for 6 months, you can stay for 12 months if you want. It's a hybrid of private mentoring and group, and it will be available at the end of the week. So you can have a look at my website then, and I'll mention it for sure on next week's podcast. Anyway, that is it for this week. They are the 5 standards that I want you to think about, plus add your own standards. And I want to remind you that the road to your next level success is never going to be found in settling, but in setting high standards and maintaining them as though it's your full-time job. Anyway, that is it. I will see you next week. Bye for now.